In 1995, in a small lab in Germany, something unusual began to happen. In an aquarium in this small lab lived a population of crayfish. Crayfish is a creature that looks something between lobster and shrimp. Scientists were studying its life cycle, nothing out of the ordinary, until one day the population started growing in a surprisingly fast rate. It was like photocopy machine, a single crayfish producing identical copy of itself, an endless ability to reproduce so fast in great numbers. Scientists were puzzled. Welcome to Storyteller and Alchemist, where we re-enchant the world one story at a time. I am Amira, and today we sit with a very strange creature, the marbled crayfish. When researchers looked closely, they discovered a genetic mutation. One crayfish had developed the rare ability to spontaneously reproduce. Over time, all the crayfish in the aquarium acquired this ability. A new species was born, one that could reproduce fast, identically, and endlessly. The researchers, not knowing what to do with so many crayfish, they just released them into the rivers and lakes. I don't know if this was the smartest thing to do. Anyway, this is what they did. But what happened next was astonishing. For some unknown reason, the crayfish traveled from Germany far away across the oceans and found its way to Madagascar in the far south of Africa. At the time, Madagascar was facing a quiet crisis. In many rural areas, the families could not afford reliable source of protein. Children were growing weaker and sicker. When suddenly, out of nowhere, those crayfish appeared in rice fields and waterways, abundant, easy to catch, and endlessly multiplying. Villagers began gathering them in their basket. They cooked them in the stews and dried them in the sun and sold them in the market. It provided accessible form of protein, a new livelihood by harvesting and selling, and nutritional support in region where food was very scarce. In some community, it became staple food. For the first time, protein became regular instead of rare, and nutrition dramatically improved. And soon, scientists even discovered an added, totally unexpected benefit. The marbled crayfish eat freshwater snail, and in this area where crayfish population increased, snail population dropped. Those snails harbored a parasite called schistosomiasis, a disease that largely affects children, causing anemia and cognitive and physical impairment. Now, the rate of children disease was even further reduced. No one planned it, no agency delivered any shipment. A small creature born in a distant lab in Europe fed villagers and saved lives far away in Africa. As you can imagine, this is not a story about biology. It's a story about trust. Trust in providence, trust in grace, trust that not all order is visible, and not all gifts arrive through intentional efforts. Sometimes what appears as accident is simply divine grace moving faster than our understanding. A small unexpected mutation in a lab in Europe finds its way uninvited or rather unexpected into an African land. It feeds villagers, interrupts parasitic cycle, it offers survival where resources are scarce. This story unsettles the rational mind. It resists structure, planning, prediction. For the poor villagers in Madagascar, the world did not seem organized. On the surface, nothing seemed to progress, yet the solution for the starving villagers and sick children was slowly and gently unfolding. How did those crayfish find their way to the rice fields? How was it that they arrived in the perfect timing at the perfect place where they were needed? Now, think of your own life. How many times have we thought or silently believed there is no hope for me? I will never be able to make it. I have no one to support me. In the moment, these thoughts feel like fact. But life rarely moves in straight line. It moves like those rivers and oceans that carried the crayfish to the perfect place in the perfect time. In the marble crayfish story, I see an enchanted world a world where meaning emerges without human intervention, where life reorganizes itself beyond our careful design. No one knew the crayfish would feed thousands and save children. Villagers did not know help was already on the way. Sometimes healing is working beneath the surface. Before we can see any signs, we just need to trust. But what does trust really mean? Trust is not pretending everything is just fine. And trust definitely does not mean lay back and wait for the solution to fall down from the heavens. Trust is doing all we can while believing that we are held in safe hands. Trust is believing in our hearts that it is going to be okay. Trust is leaving room for what we cannot even imagine. Trust is saying, I do not see the path forward, but I will take it one day at a time. I do not understand this moment, but I am open to possibilities. I cannot control the outcome, but I can stay present to what unfolds. I know I am in safe hands. There are three takeaways I want you to get from this crayfish story. First, life works in a mysterious way. We might think that the answers to our problems come from a certain person, a specific job, a certain action, a perfect medicine, but God might have a totally different plan for us. He opens doors we never even imagined that they existed. Second, be open to possibilities. Those villagers saw the huge group of crayfish and did not think, oh my God, an infestation, a natural disaster. Instead, they saw an opportunity. They were creative and curious. What does this taste like? Sometimes God sends us help and sends us answers in unexpected ways. A long forgotten friend calls us, a stranger's smile that rekindles hope in our heart, an article that pops up in our feed. If we are narrowly focused on our problems, we might miss the signs. The most important answers in life usually do not come in neat, organized structure. They come in a dream, in an aha moment, in a curious experimentation or creative exploration. The third takeaway is that life works beyond our timeline. We want answers today, but meaning is still unfolding. It often arrives at its own time. We need to trust that the solution is on its way. God always listens to our prayers. He has a plan. It will come in the perfect time and a perfect place. Yes, it is easier said than done. It is hard to wait in this ambiguity, in the not knowing. This is why the story of crayfish come to remind us that we can trust. So, when we lay in bed in a sleepless night or sit with our own fears in the morning, let's remember there is already a movement toward healing before we can even see it. I love the words of Peter Pan. All the world is made of faith and trust and pixie dust. Trust is the courage to leave space for the unseen mystery of life, for those pixie dust to unfold in its own time, in its own way. Until we meet again, may the stories you encounter guide you back to the quiet wisdom within. Peace and blessing.